Listen now, we the talk around town. Alex threw the ball to Smokey for a touchdown. It's fourth down and you don't really want no more. We've been winning from the door. You should check the scoreboard. Check the scoreboard.
Welcome back to this week's episode of the Scoreboard. We have all the Week 7 NFL predictions for you today, as well as some betting advice if you happen to be a man of the money. Stay tuned for the end of the show as I'll give you my actually three this time, easiest profit bets for Week 7 of the NFL season. Now, Smokey, how are you doing today?
Oh, man, I'm better than Browns fans right now.
There we go.
They got pulled back down to earth, I'll tell you that.
Well, you were hyping them up pretty much all season.
Well, kind of. I mean, they still are the post-type sleepers, of course. And already, sitting at 4-2, they've done better than anyone expected them to be at this point. So, you know, they're not going to win them all. But, you know, I expect they will still have a winning record by the end of the season.
Okay, that's fair. We'll see what happens. The division is pretty strong, though. It's a lot of competition there, so
that's true.
We'll see about that. We're gonna get right into the predictions for Week 7, though. First, how did we do last week, and how's the overall standing looking?
Man, you actually made one up on me last week.
There we go. Finally,
you had 10, and I had 9 correct. Brings the total to 59.5 for me, 57.5 for you.
So I'm still behind. I still gotta get at least 3 points to win on you.
Yes.
Dang.
It's not gonna happen this week, though.
It's gonna happen this week. I'm looking at the games. I'm very confident. I think I'm gonna make at least 2 points on you this week. I think I got a good shot here. I think I know what I'm doing.
No, I'm going 16-0 this week.
Okay. So
it's not possible.
Yeah, I got some games here that I'm curious to see you pick. Though before we do that, just a quick reminder, if you're a fantasy football player, stay tuned. I suggest you subscribe to Beyond Football and show up back tomorrow for Smokey, your Hurry Up Offense segment, 5-minute fantasy football tips from a true fantasy football pro. One of the few who really is willing to share his secrets to the unwashed masses, the broad public out there. So if you're a fantasy football guy, you don't want to miss that. Subscribe to Beyond Football. That being said, let's get into it. We have the most spectacular Thursday night game ever. The Giants at the Eagles.
The Giants are awful. The Eagles are awful, but not quite as awful as the Giants. I think I was telling you this earlier, is that Carson Wentz has this thing where his O-line is completely wretched. It's just horrible. But he is actually useful after the defense is worn out at the end of the game. So that's why we see Carson making these almost comebacks at the end of the game. And actually, I think it has won in one game this season so far. On the other hand, the Giants are doing absolutely nothing, and I don't know how they got their one win. Well, actually, I do know how they got their one win, because the football team is just that much worse. I mean, they both should have lost that game, to tell you the truth. But in this, I'm going to take the Eagles at home because I think they are just a hair better than the Giants right now.
It's certainly a tough pick to make, because here's the thing. I think the Eagles at their worst would probably lose the game. Now, the Eagles at their best are a much, much better team, and they should win the game any time, especially seeing that they are at home. Daniel Jones has kind of been the lone standout for the Giants. He's the leading rusher, and he's kind of on the way to do what Ryan Fitzpatrick did for the Dolphins last year, which is basically be their entire offense with Saquon Barkley being out with injury for the rest of the season. I got the Eagles in this one as well. I'm going to trust Carson Wentz, the better quarterback, and at any given time, the better team, though I am scared to put money on this because we know the Eagles have the potential to slump down to one of the absolute worst teams in football. At their worst, they're going to lose, but I don't think they'll show up at their worst because somehow the NFC East is still up for grabs, and both of those teams with a win could become leaders of this division. You got to keep that in mind, which is just crazy to think after a third of the season is over, but I got the Eagles, and I trust in them to take it. I think they will be the one team to contend for the division title, but honestly, it's still up to everybody, which is crazy to think of. Steelers at the Titans.
Steelers, this is going to be great right here. two power run teams at the moment. Actually, the Steelers, I guess you really can't call them a power run team at the moment. They're more of a spread, maybe. But the Titans are definitely a power run team. I mean, who's going to tackle Derrick Henry? I only see it getting worse for the Titans, or worse for the opponents of the Titans going into the winter, because as we've seen the past few years, Derrick Henry really gets going when it gets cold outside. And I think it's because people are afraid to tackle that big frozen ice box running down the field, and they don't want to take that hit. And Derrick Henry is as scary as he ever has been. This is so tough. I want to put these two teams on a level playing field right here. Big Ben's playing well. Tannehill's playing better than anyone thought he would ever be in his entire career. I'm going to give the Titans this one at home, only because the home field advantage is worth 3 points.
Man, I thought you were going to pick Pittsburgh here, and this is one of the games where I actually plan to get a score on you. I also have Tennessee. It's going to be a very close one, and it's probably going to be a fast game. Like you said, a lot of runs happening. The Steelers have the more variant offense with all the receiver threats, like Chase Claypool is bursting onto the scene. But Tennessee, I will say this, Tennessee suffered a major loss in Taylor Lewan. That was one of the most important pieces to that team, and it's going to have to be an adjustment without him. He is hands down one of the most important players for this organization. I think they get it done against Pittsburgh. It's going to be a close one, but we've seen Mike Vrabel developing into kind of a Belichick Jr. with kind of being smarter than the rules and outsmarting the NFL with that intentional penalty. I think the Titans organization is really well managed, and they somehow have overcome all the controversies around the people we're talking about. They might have a game forfeited if they can't get to play. They had all these positive tests. Somehow they overcame it all, looking stronger than ever. So I agree with you, Tennessee to stay undefeated in this one. And Dallas at Redskins, not the Redskins, of course, the Washington you know what's.
Yeah, those guys.
Yeah, the team formerly known as Redskins.
This is funny because this division really could, and the winner of this division could have a losing record. And it's ridiculous. Luckily these teams are playing each other right now because somebody's got to win these games. So, I guess, I mean, wow, they're so horrible. This whole division, man. I'm going to give it to the Cowboys on the road because, obviously the football team was even worse than the Giants last week. And that's saying a lot. And the Cowboys are not too hot with Andy Dalton, but I think they have overall the better quarterback. They have the better running back. They have the better receivers. They should win this, but I wouldn't be surprised if they lose it because they're just finding ways to lose out of nowhere. So, but I'll take the Cowboys here.
Man, Dallas looked terrible against Arizona. And I'll remind you, they just about beat the Giants. It was close, and that was with Dak starting for the majority of that game. That was the game he got hurt. But even until that point, the Giants were on an even playing field and even winning at some point. So both of these teams are absolutely garbage, and it's really going to be an interesting situation to see how this division plays out, and if it might even affect the NFL playoff system in the future, because this has become so egregious that you're looking at this and you compare it to the NFC West, there might be a 7-9, maybe a 6-10 team that goes to the playoffs, and then you look at the NFC West, there might be a 9 or 10 win team coming in third in their division. So we'll see how that turns out for this one. It's really tough to make a pick here. They both look horrible. I'm gonna go with Washington. I will take the footballs to put one over the Cowboys here. And the Giants were close to doing it. I think Washington is going to do it. That offense has taken a big hit. The defense is absolutely horrible. They're on the first 5 weeks Falcons level of just not showing up to games. And I think that, Kyle Allen's only getting better, and if he falls off a cliff, Alex Smith is not the worst quarterback by any means. Seeing Alex Smith versus Andy Dalton is at least an even matchup, and I'm going to go Washington. I think their defense is going to dominate Andy Dalton. The pass rush is going to get to him. Washington wins a close one, but it's a tank ball, no less. Mm-hmm. Bills at Jets.
Man, this is the only team left that does not have a single win. The Jets. And what is the reason for that? Adam Gase is the reason for that. Adam Gase. And he, as the time of this recording, is still not fired. Imagine that. He is still not fired. This team wins absolutely next to nothing last year. They're 0-6 right now with the worst offense that anyone has seen in the NFL in probably 30 years. And yet he still has his job. It's amazing. The Bills, I look for the Bills to get back on track in this game. I look for Josh Allen to start connecting downfield more often and returning to the way he looked in the first 4 games. And I'm not going to put those 2 losses on Josh Allen at this time because I think he's still playing at an elite level at this moment. He's just, the team around him is not playing as well. But look for this to be a get-right game. I'm definitely taking the Bills. I don't care if they're on the road. The Jets are going 0-16 this season.
Wow, that's you want to put some monster on that, or you want to bet on that?
Well, I don't know, because if they changed coaches, if they keep Adam Gase, yes, I would. Oh, but wow. If they change coaches, they might get that 2-game bump.
So the Jets don't win a game as long as Adam Gase coaches.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a tough bet. You might be right though. I'm not actually gonna take that bet at all. Now for Buffalo, I'm gonna put the losses on the entire team, and that includes Josh Allen. If he's gonna be the MVP, he's got to step up in those moments. Obviously, he's probably still he's still been the best player on the team, and the entire roster, the quality just hasn't been there over the last 2 games. Now it's been the toughest stretch of their season, probably in terms of 2-game stretches. With the undefeated Titans and Chiefs. It's more forgivable, but this one, you said it's a get-right game, and they will definitely, after that 2-game stretch, they'll be happily welcoming this kind of practice match, a scrimmage against the Jets, and they are going to take this, no doubt. When I looked at the betting, I was preparing the betting advice, there's a 13-point spread on this game. That is just over 2 touchdowns for Buffalo, so no one believes the Jets have a shot in this. Neither do I. Sam Darnold is, Joe Flacco has been starting for the Jets at quarterback, and Adam Gase is the coach. His entire team looks horrible, and they will continue to be anemic until coaching changes happen. Buffalo is a playoff contender. They're going to win. Carolina at New Orleans.
This actually, this past week, changes the outlook for this game to me. I was starting to buy into the Panthers. I really was, but last week they crapped the bed really hard there against the Bears, and maybe I'll go ahead and admit it. Maybe the Bears are just legit at this point. They definitely have a great defense. I don't believe in their offense at all, but maybe they're legit. But we'll get to them later. Panthers, I think that took a chunk out of what they were trying to accomplish here, man. And I think the Saints, with their week off, and they should be getting Michael Thomas back in this game. And I think Drew Brees will start hitting those slant routes, those crossing routes, those up the middles to Michael Thomas, the stuff that he feels really safe with, and just basically walk right down the field on them. I'm looking for the Saints to win this one at home fairly easily, I would think.
Fairly easily is definitely maybe a stretch. I'm going to say that the Saints also win it. They have a bye week. They're coming off healthy, and they are the higher quality team overall. But Carolina's been surprising a lot of people. This is the second opportunity for them to upset their division. They've already beaten Atlanta, and they are looking to also beat New Orleans, no doubt, and keep proving people wrong. Teddy Bridgewater has been very serviceable as a starting quarterback. And I still take the Saints. I think the offense overall is a bit too strong. They're not gonna be able to keep up 60 minutes. That is, if they come in right. If Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas come in firing, they are hard to stop. I will take the safer pick, but I would not be surprised if this was a trap game for the Saints, because a bye week can also mean that you're a bit rusty. You come in and first play, first quarter, maybe you're a bit rusty, and you need to wake up. So if the Panthers can take advantage of that, could be a close one. I'll go with the Saints though. Packers at Texans.
Man, this is, you know what? This is actually tougher than I thought it was going to be to pick this game. Looking at it before last week, the Texans were on their way up after firing their coach. The Packers were dominant. And then this week happened. The Texans still look great. They didn't win, but they made it really close with Titans that have been on fire right now. The Packers got blown out by Tom Brady and the Bucs. Like, they just got destroyed. And it didn't look that way at the first. I mean, the Packers went up 10 points on them, and Brady just was like an android out there, man. He's never going to get old. He's never going to retire. He's just going to be that Tom Brady, the best game manager in the history of football forever, I suppose. And I don't really like that, but that's probably what's going to happen. I don't know. The Packers, though, I'm not going to get cute. I really thought about it. The Texans being at home and the Packers coming off a loss, that could take their momentum away. And the Texans really could sneak this one in. But I'm going to go with the Packers just because you never doubt Aaron Rodgers, obviously.
You never really do. Now, unless you do, and sometimes you apparently now have to, this Tampa Bay defense has exposed what we have been thinking about the Packers all offseason. The lack of improvement on offense. Aaron Rodgers by yourself is not going to do it. Niners showed it last season, and the Bucs demonstrated it this season. Because, by the way, this Tampa Bay defense is ferocious. And this Tampa Bay team is looking a lot like the Brady Patriots. Stable special teams, outstanding stingy defense, and just mechanical offense. Just play by play, by design, walking down the field. And Rob Gronkowski also seems to be still back on track. So, but we're talking about the Packers, obviously. I will pick Green Bay to win it. Aaron Rodgers, after a loss, typically is mad, and when Aaron Rodgers is mad, that is not good for whomever has to try and stop him. Texans, to me, are just a worse quality roster. Now, they did definitely get a little bit of a spark from the firing of Bill O'Brien, and they didn't beat the Titans, quite beat them, but it was a close game, like you mentioned, so props to Houston for that. I don't think they'll beat Green Bay, but they will be better off for the future without Bill O'Brien. Aaron Rodgers gets it done in this one, though it might be a close one, and he really needs to rely on Devontae Adams being healthy for the rest of the season and helping him out, because that offense, outside of their quarterback, there's just no help going around. So Packers to win it in a close one, and work to be done. People like the Packers to be the best team in the NFC, and they've said it all the time. I think they're really good, but that's because of exactly one person. And what has surprised me a little bit is that a lot of people put titles on the Packers, but it's just not there to get over the hump. Once the Packers face a really good team, and I'm talking top 5 team in the league, that's when it's over. It just gets overloaded. The offense gets overloaded. Aaron Rodgers can't do it by himself. Buccaneers showed it. The Houston Texans aren't that quality team, so Aaron Rodgers is going to win. But for the future, I don't see these Packers going all the way. At least not this season. Browns at Bengals.
Browns at Bengals, man. And since I've been hyping them up, I really should pick the Browns here. I think this game is really close. I mean, I think it's going to be a much better game here. Much better than anyone expects, And the Bengals and Browns are always close, hard-fought games. I mean, it's the battle for Ohio, of course. Baker Mayfield took that shot. He's got the rib injury right now, so I don't know if he's playing. And if it's Case Keenum, that takes even more away from him. And I do think that at some point, Joe Burrow and these Bengals start winning. And winning decisively at some point. And maybe later in the year, for all I know. And it may be into next season. But this game right here, I think it's really going to be close. And I really don't know which quarterback's going to start for the Browns. But if it is Baker Mayfield, I kind of want to give them a slight edge, but not really because it's in Cincinnati. And you know what? I'm going to pick the Bengals to win this one, and I think it's going to be a really close game.
Okay, so you're making the heroic picks that I was intending to make this week. Great. So I'm going to be left with picking the Browns here. I was going to pick the Browns anyway, though I do agree with that if Case Keenum starts. Now, Baker Mayfield is not the reason that the Browns win, but he's certainly a contributing factor. And someone like Tom Brady always was in New England. And you see a lot of other quarterbacks across the league. He's not the Aaron Rodgers player, but he's a solid starter. And it will be a downgrade if Case Keenum starts. For the Bengals, any game could be the game. But the roster is still very young, it's still raw. And a lot of work is to do. There's a bright future for the Bengals to me. This division could be one of the absolute best in the very near future. It already is one of the better divisions in football, but if those two teams really can establish themselves, it's going to be phenomenal. I will take Cleveland. I'll take the experience, the veteran receivers and the outstanding receivers, and also the great running game the Browns have put on tape so far this season to make it happen and to win a very important divisional game here against Cincinnati. If you lose that one, you are lacking behind Baltimore and Pittsburgh quite substantially, so it's an important one for Cleveland to win. Lions at Falcons.
Hey, we finally won one. We finally, and me and you had to not pick them to get them to win. You see how that works?
I guess that's what it is. Yeah.
It's either that or it's because the Dan Quinn has been fired and it's the 2-game bump. So the Lions actually looked really good last week. They got DeAndre Swift going, and man, they looked really sharp. But the Falcons are on their 2-game bump, so I know not to veer away from the trends and cycles because 80% of the time that's going to be how it works out. So I'm going to pick the Falcons here to beat the Lions at home, but I'm kind of afraid that I'm jinxing it though because I don't want them to go back to just losing again. But they beat the stew out of the Vikings, man. They really beat the bejesus out of them. I think the Falcons looked good. Even the defense looked good. Without Dan Quinn there, the defensive genius leaves, and voila, the defense is good. I don't know. But it may just be a symptom of the Vikings being really bad, much worse than anyone expected. Still going to stick with the Falcons here to beat the Lions at home.
Well, the first half of the game against Minnesota looked like any other Falcons game this season. The only thing that was different was they didn't allow the big comeback at the end late in the second half. Yes. So other than that, it was pretty much the same exact game. Yes, Atlanta is a more talented roster, and I think they are a bit more hyped or on the high right now. You mentioned the 2-game bump. To me, my experience, it's definitely a 1-game bump. Typically, it can carry over to 2, but the winningest team in NFL is always the one that just fired its head coach. That is basically common knowledge, and it shows time and time again. Texans did it, Atlanta did it. Maybe the Jets will do it at some point later this season. We'll see. Gonna take the Falcons here again. I'll be jinxing with you. This is the first, maybe the last time that I'll pick them. If this is true, and they'll lose, and I'll take them and they lose, then I officially start believing in curses, and I will never pick them again. Lions are a dangerous team, though, so it could be a trap game. Atlanta should be favored, and I'm going to take them. Seattle at Arizona.
You know what? Man, I've been thinking about this game right here. And this is tough for me. It really is, because the Seahawks, of course, I mean, just looking at it from the outside, you would go, of course, the Seahawks are going to go down to Phoenix and destroy the Cardinals. But I don't know, man. I got a feeling the Cards coming off a really big win, the Seahawks coming off a bye week. I think there's a chance that the Seahawks, I mean, they're not going to win 16 games straight. I think there's a chance they're going to get shown up by an up-and-coming team this season. And I think it's probably going to be here in Phoenix. I think Kyler Murray, puts in another spectacular game like he did against the Cowboys. And I think it catches the Seahawks by surprise. And I think it'll be a tough game. It'll probably be a shootout in the end. But I'm going to go with the Cards to win this one.
Wow. Okay, so you are making the heroics here. You said, he had a great game against the Cowboys. The entire team looked great against the Cowboys. Counterpoint, it's the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And the Cardinals have looked great against horrible teams, and they have looked pretty mediocre against good teams. Seattle is a good team, and they are going to make Arizona look mediocre, in my opinion. Now, it's a divisional game. Anything can happen, and trust me, the Cardinals would love nothing more than not only beat San Francisco, but to also beat Seattle in the first half of the season. That's all they can dream about. But I think it's not going to happen this time. I think Seattle keeps winning because the Seattle offense is going to be a different caliber compared to an Andy Dalton ran Cowboys offense that is completely dysfunctional, that is having coaching issues, and Mike McCarthy struggling. I will take Seattle to take it and stay undefeated for at least one more week here. Mm-hmm. Jacksonville at the Chargers.
Oh, man. Well, the Chargers, even though they're coming off a loss before the bye week, I think they're still trending up. I think they're definitely trending up more than the Jags are. I think the Jags started at the bottom of the barrel. They got a slight bump after an unexpected win in the first week, and then they returned right back to the bottom of the barrel. I don't see the Jags getting any better, and I don't think Minshew is the quarterback of this team next season. I think they're going to end up with a really high draft pick, and they're going to end up with one of the big 3 or 4 quarterbacks this season. Maybe one of the big 2, and we know who those guys are. Chargers, they already have their quarterback. They have their franchise quarterback. They're happy to have him there, and he's playing well. A lot like Joe Burrow, he's probably going to get them some wins this season. And it might not happen right away, but actually it might happen right away with this game right here, because I think the Chargers are going to easily beat the Jags at home.
Wow, okay. Justin Herbert's phenomenal. He went to one of the best situations, too, that such a high draft pick quarterback can go to. Chargers are a much better team than the 5th overall pick, and as were the Dolphins, by the way, also with Tua, and we're going to see him start coming up. But I like these Chargers a lot. I think they have playoff potential, and it's going to depend on the consistency of Justin Herbert. The talent is there. The defense is there. Not having Derwin James hurts them quite a little bit. But against Jacksonville, this is a must-win situation for the Chargers. I will disagree with the fact that, what you said, that the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be one of the absolute worst teams. I think Gardner Minshew is still probably the starter, and it's his job to lose. I don't think they're going to get a top 5 draft pick. I think that's going to be both New York teams. There's going to be Washington in there. I don't think Jacksonville is going to end up doing that badly, especially because I think they are going to be having some wins in the division as well, some upsets. But the Chargers in this one, no doubt they have to go out and win it. 49ers at Patriots.
Man, this is another tough one, considering, how the games have played out recently. Looking at this, the Patriots did not look good. And I thought, after that loss, coming back off their bye, their forced bye, having Cam Newton back, that they were going to come out, playing on fire, but they look bad. They still look bad. 49ers got their win, against a not so tough team, I guess you could say. It's really tough. These two teams, are very similar. You can't really... You can compare the quarterbacks and wins and losses, I guess, over the past few years. Well, maybe not even that, because Cam has had some horrible seasons leading up to this. I don't know, but as far as, run first teams, yes. Supposedly great defenses, yes. Both teams have that. Patriots are at home. Man, this is another really tough one for me. And I think you're going to pick the 49ers. That's your team. I'm going to go with the Patriots.
Okay, so you're trying to create some conflict. You say both teams have great defenses. Yes, it's true on paper. If you take a look at the IR, you notice where all those great defenses went. By the way, now Patriots, of course, had a couple of important holdouts on defense, and Niners' entire defense is currently hurt and potentially going on IR. So it's tough to really pick this. The Rams are not necessarily a non-tough team, but they always act like it whenever they play San Francisco. Aaron Donald turns into like late Albert Hainsworth and just disappears off the footage. The Rams had 2 quarterback pressures the entire game, both by Aaron Donald, but that is just abysmal. And you give that to any quarterback, let alone Jimmy Garoppolo, is going to pick you apart. The one difference that I'm seeing here is that the Niners have more talent on offense. And outside of Raheem Mostert and the offensive line, they've gotten to be pretty healthy. Jimmy Garoppolo looks to be back. His throwing motion appeared almost healthy again. He's fully stepping on that ankle, and he's launching the ball, which is good to see, and he's been much more accurate already this week. So that's definitely very, very important to see, because without him, they are not going to go very far. Patriots looked bad. I was surprised how bad they looked. Now, Drew Lock came back, but scoring that, you allow 12 points. That's all fine and good. The Patriots expect to win that game anytime, but you have to also score yourself. So 2 depleted teams with high potential. I'm going to go with San Francisco purely based on momentum. They won a great game against a divisional rival, and they played at the top level that they could play at. Now, at the very top level for both these teams, I think more talent, the Niners are the better team. It's going to depend a lot on who shows up on any given day. I'm going to go with San Francisco. I trust them. Also, of course, you made me do it, so you put me on the Niners. I have to take them. We want that conflict, so that's what we're going to do. Chiefs at Broncos.
Oh, one more thing before we move on to that game. I was really wanting to see Stephon Gilmore on Deebo Samuel, but obviously that's not going to happen with the COVID diagnosis. All right, Chiefs and Broncos. Well, the Broncos are coming off of 2 wins back-to-back at the hands, or actually I should say thanks to the foot of Brian McManus, man. He's the MVP of those 2 games right there for sure. Low scoring games, horrible games. Defense did a lot for them to win those games. But over a bad offense in the Patriots, and the Chiefs just beat up on the Bills. I mean, there's not much more you can say about it. They really did beat up on them. I mean, it wasn't a huge margin of victory, but they did what they had to do, and I think just looking at it from the outside, they easily won that game. So, got to go with the Chiefs on the road. I mean, I don't know. Drew Lock may be improving right here. He didn't put up a ton of points, though. I'm going to go with the Chiefs, yeah.
I'll have to agree. Drew Lock is improving. He's definitely an important part of the team. He's not going to be the best in the business just now, especially when the team around him is also just not matching up to the Chiefs. That Bills defense has been exposed back-to-back weeks by 2 very strong offenses. In Kansas City, we know, are absolutely no joke. They're going to go into Denver and win. You can call it a trap game all you want because it's a divisional one, but the quality is just better. This has to be a routine win. No Von Miller for the Broncos hurts them immensely. Drew Lock was out for a long time. He's trying to find his footing. This, in all regards, all phases of the game, the Chiefs are a better team. Maybe not necessarily on defense, but they're going to put points up at Denver, and they're going to win the game and stay on track. Going into the late game here, we have the pirate on pirate, basically, the Buccaneers at the Raiders.
Yeah. Man, this is tough looking at it as far as records, right? I mean, a 4-2 team facing a 3-2 team. They're both Pirates, if you if you were to just look at box scores, you would say, wow, both these quarterbacks are really doing okay this year. None of them neither are setting the world on fire, but they're doing really well. But I guess the problem is that the Raiders are frauds, right?
They are frauds, yes, that is correct.
And the Bucks, look legit. They can't win them all, apparently, but they can win a lot of them. Tom Brady is Tom Brady. I mean, I hate saying it every time because I thought for sure it was the Patriots. Like all these years, man, and I'm just veering away from this game just a little bit here. All these years, I thought it was the Patriots. I was like, no, the Patriots can do it with Jimmy G. The Patriots can do it with anybody they throw in there. You know, the Patriots can win with Brian Hoyer. It's not Tom Brady. But here we see the Patriots can't win with Cam Newton, and Tom Brady goes to the Bucs, and he wins with them. Like, he's got to be just, maybe I should give him his props. Maybe he's the best game-managing quarterback of all time. I don't know. But just to watch him play, you're like, no, he's not that good, right? But he always wins. And it's like the story of my life. You know, my teams cannot win because Tom Brady always wins. No matter what, Tom Brady is going to be there, and he's going to be winning. He might drop a few here and there, but overall, he's going to be winning. He's just the greatest human that ever lived. The Bucs are going to go into Las Vegas and beat the Raiders because Tom Brady is the greatest human that ever lived.
Okay, so with all that rant, let me clear a few things up. For the Patriots, it's never been about offense. Offense has never won the Patriots games and seasons. It's about defense, and if the defense isn't right, the Patriots aren't right, because that's the specialty of Belichick, as well as that special team. So 2 out of 3 phases, the most important ones for New England. I think they will get it right over time, over the season. But it is a down year. The defense has been hit considerably by those holdouts, and then injuries stack on top of that. Cam Newton was out for a few weeks. It's looking tough. In terms of quarterbacks, I'm gonna use a scaling model for this. So imagine a quarterback ranking from 0 to 10, 10 being the best, the greatest performance, and 0 being absolutely horrible. So you got a lot of quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, who in a lot of games they're at a 10. Like, they are playing phenomenal, unbeatable world breakers. And then they have other games where they're playing at a 6 or a 7, where they don't have the support around them. The team lets them down, or they just take too much of a risk. Tom Brady plays at an 8 every single game. Every game of his career, pretty much, he's been playing at an 8. And that's what makes him so consistent and so good. If he is surrounded by a team that is like any 8-8 team, Tom Brady will take that team to 10-6. Any 10-6 team, Tom Brady will take him to 12-4. And that is a quality in and of itself in a quarterback. He has at no point in his career has he been the best quarterback in the league. But throughout the entire time, he's been one of the most consistent, one of the most winning, because he just does it all the time. And this Tampa Bay team has done a great job of assembling that support around him. The defense is ferocious. The offense, we know the weapons that they have. They added Leonard Fournette to just add the cherry on top. And now they're going into Las Vegas for a big showdown. You know they'll be hyping it up all week. It's America's game of the week. It's the world's game of the week. Pirate on pirate. The Raiders, of course, are frauds, no matter what you're going to say about them. And yes, they win clutch games sometimes. At the end of the day, they're going to go 8-8. As we all know, that's what fraudulent teams do. The Buccaneers aren't frauds. The Buccaneers remind me of the Patriots, not just because of Brady and Gronk, but because of the way they are now built, the way they have started to play. Stingy defense, ball control, run the ball, and incredible consistency. So props to Bruce Arians and all the staff down there. I think the team is legit, and I give them a good shot at winning the division, especially with kind of the struggles from the other teams there. I have the Buccaneers to take it here as well at Vegas. It's going to be a good show, and we know the Raiders can be explosive, and they better bring it to make it a close game, but I have the Bucs. Bears at Rams on Monday night.
This is gonna be a barn burner right here, man. Not really. Should I take the Bears seriously? That's what I'm asking myself right now, man. Are the Bears for real? I think their defense is for real. I don't believe in their offense just yet. They're gonna have to blow some teams out before I really start believing in the Bears. Like, they've won all their games by close margins, and you know, I mean, they beat some decent teams, I guess, but they've all been by one score or so. I guess even the Panthers. The Panthers are not that great, obviously, but I don't know. I'm trying to talk myself in or out of this pick right here, man. I think I'm gonna do it. I think I'm gonna go ahead and pick the Rams at home to beat the Bears. And if the Bears do pull this one out, even by one score, like they have every single game they've won so far, I think I'll take them as legit. But they really need, for me to believe it, I want to see them go and blow out a team. A good team, a bad team, anybody. Win by more than one score, and I'll believe it. But right now, I'm going to pick the Rams at home.
We've been getting a lot of flack for consistently just doubting the Bears, right?
Yeah.
Like, people are starting to call us out.
Mostly me.
Yes, that is true. I think, because you always are more vocal about it, I just pick against it. I think the Rams could be regarded as a good team to prove exactly what you are wanting them to prove. We could regard them as like the step between frauds and legit teams. Maybe if you can beat the Rams, or maybe a team like the Chargers as well, team like Arizona. Those are sort of the teams, or the Saints maybe, that if you beat them, you're a quality team. You're supposed to be reckoned with. If not, well, too bad. I have a tough time making this pick as well, because the Rams looked horrible, but they always look horrible against San Francisco for some reason. Sean McVay can't beat Kyle Shanahan for whatever reason. It seems weird, but the entire team just falls into a sinkhole. It just seems like a bad matchup. Maybe it's mental. We know this Rams team is supposed to be really good. They were 4-1. They gave the Bills all they could handle it. Almost won that game at Buffalo. But the Bears keep winning. They somehow just keep winning, and I'm having a tough time making this pick. I will just close my eyes. I'm gonna go with my gut feeling. I'm gonna lock in the Rams. They are at home and they're on a bounce back game. They have to be mad with their performance. In part also because it can't get much worse. If you look at how they played on a national stage in a crucial divisional match, they looked horrible. They dropped touchdown passes all over the field. The play calling was bad. The defense was horrible. The offense did not get into a rhythm. Can't get worse for the Rams from there. There's only up. So they have to come out and be better. Positive regression, as you would call it. And I think they will take it over the Bears, as the roster quality is just that little bit higher. But it will be a tough one for sure. Mm-hmm. So we differed on quite a lot of games this week, huh? So it's stars aligned for me to make up 2 points on you, maybe 3.
Yeah, we have 4 games that we differ on this week. So
right. Yeah, I'm just going to win all of them, and that's
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to do when I'm going 16-0, but
oh, okay. I forgot that actually. That's too bad.
Yeah, I mean, maybe next week, but yeah,
that is quite unfortunate. I'm especially impressed of you going 16-0 whenever there's only 14 games. Actually, that's the really big the really big one. You also picked all the bye weeks, right?
Yeah, that's just how good I am. I mean, it's tough, man. Sometimes it's hard to be this good. I don't know.
I can imagine. I maybe one day I'll get there. We'll see.
Hey, I do want to correct something real quick before we get off the games. I looked it up since, and actually Stephon Gilmore is already back from the COVID.
He's active. So you got to see him. You got to see him against Steve-O, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, that was a really short stint on the COVID list, but maybe it was a false positive or something.
Maybe. You never know. I don't think it's going to be the classical one-on-one matchup you might be looking for, though, because you looked at the Kyle Shanahan offense. He's not going to run Deebo Samuel into that matchup. They don't have a receiver, maybe outside of George Kittle, who is going to match up in quality with Stephon Gilmore one-on-one coverage. He's the best man corner, shutdown cornerback in the game, defensive player of the year. He's going to be running end arounds. He's going to be running jet sweeps, zoom sweeps, and he is going to be running a lot of motion and misdirection. To get Gilmore out of the game and get him out of positions and get Mike McGlinchey, an offensive lineman, out on the edge and block him to make life hell for those defensive backs. So it's not going to be, every time he's running like corner routes and one-on-one routes on him down the field. But it's going to be an interesting matchup for sure because he's going to get to cover a lot of different receivers as well with the rotation. So looking forward to it for sure. Getting into the betting segment of the week. Now, every week, if you're new, I provide everybody out there with some information to make an easy $10, the easiest $10 of your life with 2 bets. I'm using MyBookie as the resource here for all the lines, and as always, we are going to win both of these bets 100% guaranteed. Put them in the bank. Now, last week we didn't. We actually won one and lost the other, so not really any profit there. But this week is obviously going to be different from the previous 6 weeks, where that happened pretty much every time. We're going to win both this week, and there's very little doubt in my mind. Give me the Packers at -3.5 against the Texans. Listen, Aaron Rodgers is going to bounce back from this. And if this was just a week back, this spread would have been double digits. Like, the Texans were 0-4, the Packers 4-0. This would have been a 11, 12-point spread. And because of a couple of games now, and one bad loss for Green Bay, it's 3.5. Like, they're going to win more than a touchdown, in my opinion. I would have taken this at -6, -7. Packers at -3.5 is a gimme versus Houston. Disrespectful spread, overreaction. I will take the Packers. And the other one here, I have the Cowboys. Actually, now I know I didn't pick the Cowboys in our game, but that's mainly because I want to disagree with you and I want to score points on you. They have a clean pick'em for Dallas and the Washington Footballs. Come on, Dallas is a better team. They have more roster talent than Washington. They're gonna get. I'm confident in them. 80% of the time, they are going to win. The reason I didn't pick them in our predictions game is because I want to score points on you. So I have to go take some risks because I'm down, obviously. So
why though? You don't believe they're gonna win? Like, how are you gonna score points?
I think it's an upset, right? I think there's upset potential. So this is one of the ones to take a risk on. I'm going to do that in our prediction game, but for when money's on the line, I will take the safe pick. Cowboys to take it against Washington.
I'll take Andy Dalton over Kyle Allen any day, man.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but the difference isn't huge. Neither is the difference between, at least stylistically, between Andy Dalton and Dak Prescott, of course. So the Cowboys with Dak were not very good, and now with Andy Dalton, they'll be extra not very good.
I think the offense was actually halfway decent. I mean, I know that they were doing it mostly in the fourth quarter, a lot like the Eagles. You know, that's how Carson Wentz stays relevant in fantasy right now, is because
the offense was okay, but Dak Prescott does not line up at free safety, so that's not going to help the team any.
No, of course not. But yeah, I just think their offense is much better with Dak than with Andy. But yeah, no. Half a dozen of one. They're still going to lose, but they'll beat the football team though.
I think they will, but for prediction's sake, of course, I am placing my trust in that defense and that pass rush to put some fire under Andy Dalton and see if they can clinch out a win. But that is those are my 2 bets for this week. 100% guaranteed, $10 for free. Easiest $10 of my life, of your life, of everybody's life. Mm-hmm. Go make them right now. I cannot be held liable for wrong advice in case we lose, because we probably will. Like we do I think I have been going 1-1 on bets every week since like week 3. I always pick a correct one and I pick a wrong one and I get nothing for it. Because I put $5 in every bet. So tough, but we'll start winning eventually.
It's a game of probability, man. You can't win them all.
Absolutely. Once again, a reminder before we get off the air for all the fantasy heads out there. Hurry Up Offense is the show you want to watch to get better at fantasy football. Smokey, you're going to be presenting that tomorrow on this channel. Everybody should subscribe and set a couple alarm clocks because you don't want to miss it. Do you want to give away a little bit what you're going to be talking about this week?
Yeah, tomorrow's topic is zig when the others zag. Mm-hmm.
So that's you can interpret a lot of things into that. I'm definitely curious to see what that's going to be. So I will be on the lookout for that video coming up, and so should you. So subscribe to Beyond Football, and go ahead and follow us on Twitter as well. Those are linked in the description. And thank you everybody for watching. Do you have anything to add Week 7 wise for now, Smokey?
That's it for now.
Alright, I will say, drop us a like on the video, subscribe to Beyond Football for more content, and we are going to see you in the next one.
Deuces.